Hi everybody, Lori here for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a fun project to share with you using some of my latest favorite Kathy Zielske products. I'm starting with this CZ So Far So Good stamp set. Just came out in the Crafty Hugs release. And I'm going to cut a bunch of squares of solid color cardstock that fit the size of that Good News sentiment. So the Good News circle sentiment measures just a little bit bigger than 1.5 inches. So that's what I'm cutting all these squares. It doesn't really matter as long as all the squares are the same and it's just a little bit bigger than the sentiment. Now what I should have done is checked through my stash to see if I had a square die that would have been the right size. And then I could just die cut all these and they'd be exactly the same size. But I was too lazy to dig through my stash. And actually, I didn't even think of it until now. But if you have a square die, use it. But if you don't, you can just cut it with your paper trimmer like I did. And sometimes you got to fiddle and futz to make sure you get them all exactly the right size. But hey, these colors, bada boom, bada bing. And I've had a lot of people ask me for masculine card ideas. I feel like this fits the bill, although I hate to assign colors to a gender because these colors just light my fire. And I think they're a little bit more lines of masculine, but you know, what can you say? I'm digging it, whatever. Whenever I pull out solid color cardstock, I usually like to strip it up, you know, cut the cardstock in strips. But today, I'm squaring it up. So I adhered all these onto a panel of white cardstock. It's much larger than I need it to be. So now I'm going to do some aggressive cropping. It kind of pains me to cut these, but you got to do what you got to do to fit it on a standard card. Unless you want to make a big, large card, but then it gets too large for your sentiment. It's all about proportion. So I trim it down. Now here's the fun part. I'm taking that Good News sentiment and I'm stamping it multiple times with Versamark ink. And I love this because it just gives it that shade darker, kind of a tone on tone look. And you can do it on every square using that same Versamark ink. And it just gives you that slightly darker. I don't even know if it's showing up on the video. You'll see it. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to start popping. But I go around, I take it off the Misty and reposition it every time. I mean, if you were a Misty wizard, you could just shimmy the cardstock around and you'd never have to lift up the stamp. But I didn't have the brain power for it. So I just lifted up the stamp each time and centered it in the square. And I stamp it with the Versamark ink. And you get in the zone is what you do. And I got one last square up in the top right. And there, this panel is done. It's like the repetition, but the pattern and the color is like pa-pow. Now for the sentiment, I'm keeping it simple. I'm using this Proud of You, which is also a Kathy Zielske word die. And I did the word in white and I did the outline in black. And normally I do about 3 or 4 in white and I stack them up to make it really dimensional. But today I didn't do that. I just did one white and I glued it right on the black. Most often, I do spend a lot of extra time on my word die sentiments and I stack them up to the high heavens. And I always say dimension is life. And then today I just break all those rules and I go minimal, flat on flat, least amount of effort. You know what I say? Here's what I say. I say I'm letting the background take center stage. That's how I rationalize it. And you just go with the gut, whatever you're feeling. You want to stack it up? You want to do it flat? You do you. Now I'm assembling this card. I pop up the panel on a nice white card base, which is 110 pound, by the way, nice and sturdy. And then I pop up the Proud of You. So we're getting the dimension. And then now this is controversial. Masculine cards, do you add embellishments? Well, I added a few sparkling clear sequins. I don't know. It's debatable. Go with your gut is what I always say. You know, whatever toots your flute is what you got to do. So this card is finished. The background lights my fire. I don't know about you, but the colors, pa-pow. The pattern, it's there, but it's not too much. And the Kathy Zielske products nail it every single time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.